Good morning, everyone. And this week I'd like to talk a little bit about the balance between Sthira and Sukha. And this is something that comes up a lot. You might have even heard me say these things before. It's the only one of the Yoga Sutras where Patanjali addresses the art of posture. The whole rest of the sutras, I think there's 196 of them, only one has anything to do with posture, and this is it. The Sanskrit is Sthira-Sukham Asanam. Sthira is strength, it is stability, it is solidness, it is stillness. This is our kind of foundation of finding effort and using the muscles and being kind of strong in the pose. But if we just only do that, we're missing out on the relaxation portion of yoga and the stilling of the mind. So we also need to balance that strength and stability and solidness and stillness with our ease and our comfort and our movement and fluidity and sort of softness in the body and the mind. So we're going to address kind of how these two opposites actually coexist in not only the body as we practice asana, but also in everything in the world. And they do fall out of balance. I'm sure we've all experienced either too much effort and not enough ease, or too much ease and not enough effort. Neither one of those is very helpful to our lives or to our yoga practice. And this is partly too why it's so important for me to teach these vinyasa classes, but also to balance out my own practice and to offer to others the restorative practices that I offer. So we're also going to kind of extrapolate from this sutra, this only sutra that's about poses, and see if we can make that about all of life. Relationships require a balance of effort and ease. Projects require a balance of effort and ease. And also, it's good to have a plan and to be kind of specific about what it is you're trying to do, but if that plan doesn't work out, it's really good to be flexible and have a little bit of fluidity and breathing space within. So again, there's always a balance of that. So we'll just begin in a comfortable seated position using either your blanket or just sitting on your mat. And once you kind of find that we're going to balance ourselves out just by observation. So if you'd like to close your eyes and just kind of turn all the senses that we would normally turn outward, if we could turn those inward. Feel where your sitting bones are in contact with the floor, and maybe even give a gentle, slow forward and back tilt in your pelvis. And find a place where you can let go of effort and still stay pretty upright. Connect the solidness of your bones with the solidness of the floor. Then applying a little bit of Sthira effort. So we have our Sthira solidness now in the pelvis. Let's apply a little bit of effort. Gently draw your navel in a little towards your spine, not enough to slow or bottleneck the breath, but to gently lift the ribs. So there's just a small amount of intentional effort in the core. Feel the fluidity of your breath flowing. Maybe you can observe it changing direction. The exhale is where we apply a little bit of effort in that core area, just a little extra as we exhale, pushing the breath out, and then softening the diaphragm into relaxation to allow the next breath to flow in. So now we're starting to get into our Sukha. Even with your eyes closed, maybe you can hear some ambient noise in the room that gives you some idea of the open space around you. See if you can mimic some of that spaciousness in your heart by gently pulling the shoulders down and back. So applying a little effort to reposition the shoulders creates space and openness in the heart and the chest and the lungs. Notice the jaw, and if there's a little too much effort happening in the jaw, and not quite enough space, maybe allow the lips to stay softly sealed, but allow there to be a little space between the upper and lower teeth. Notice the placement of the tongue in the mouth. Maybe the tongue can be relaxed back to create a little bit more spaciousness in the mouth. Notice any effort that might be happening in the eyes or the brows, and just kind of gently soften your lids and your forehead. And then noticing the hands, notice and just observe whether the hands have turned up or down, and what would bring more balance to your seated posture. Maybe you need a little bit more grounding and stability, so palms turn down to ground. Maybe you need a little bit more spaciousness, and so palms turn up and open. But even though we're focusing on these opposite qualities, this dualistic nature of effort and ease, space and solidness, we still have one body. And so our one body is exhibiting qualities of bothness, oneness, balance. So from this seated position, bring your hands down to your side, just touching the earth, connecting again to that solidness on the floor. And then to breathe into that spaciousness, sweep your arms up and out wide, kind of creating that circle. Palms come to touch. We have solidness again. Pull it into your heart center. Take a big breath in. Push your thumbs away from your sternum with your breath. Exhale, hands back to the earth, to ground. Let's take 2 more like that, beginning to warm up the shoulders. Inhale, feel into the space around you and in your chest. Exhale as your hands touch. Inhale here, take a big lift. Exhale, hands back to your heart center. Inhale, push the thumbs away. Exhale, ground. Last round. Notice how bringing more attention and awareness to these 2 balancing forces makes you feel. And if you can notice in each moment how, just like when we take a standing balance pose, there's a little bit of like fluctuation or wobble between the 2. And this is how we create balance. Balance isn't like you divide a line down the middle and then you give each an equal portion. Often these 2 forces need to counterbalance one another. So there's where we might begin to use a block or blocks. So if you have those handy, they're not necessary, but they could be supportive and helpful. Lean back into your hands and draw the legs out into a wide shape. Some support under the knees might feel good here too if you have a blanket, extra blanket nearby. If you have 2 blocks, you can put one on the outside of either thigh or even the inside of either thigh. You can kind of figure out which way you need to go with that. And keeping, again, softness now in the legs. We're trying to keep those completely relaxed, but effort in the core as we lift to create space. So that effort here, balancing the space here. Hands coming to either side of the mat. Inhale and sweep one arm up. Exhale and lean to the left. So your left hand could be on the floor, or left elbow might rest on that block. And just here, find a little bit of fluidity of cat and cow, just a little. Maybe it's just, 30 degrees of rotation. As you inhale, kind of opening that right shoulder back. And as you exhale, kind of coming back into a neutral space. We're gonna take 2 more breaths like that, and on that next exhale, start to sweep that right hand all the way over towards your left shin or ankle or toes or heel. You might press your left hand into the block or the floor to gently twist your heart to that left side. Next inhale, right arm sweeps up, kind of take a big wide shape as you bring your right hand back down. Let's find the other side. Left arm sweeps up as your next inhale comes in, leaning to the right, right hand on the floor or right elbow on that block. And again, that little 30-degree motion of rotation as you inhale and exhale, bringing that left shoulder behind the body as you inhale to make a little more space in your heart. 3 more cycles of breath like that. And on that last exhale, you can reach the left hand to the shin, ankles, toes, heel of your right leg. Right hand presses into the block or the floor to twist the heart open. So we have sort of a softness as we lean forward, but an effort in the right hand pressing down to open, and how that effort, the relationship there, effort equals space in the chest. Next, inhale, sweep that left arm big and wide, open yourself up, and both hands can rest behind the body for a moment. Maybe shift your shoulders from side to side. And then we'll start to bend at the right knee and bring the right sole of the foot in towards the left leg somewhere. It doesn't have to touch, but just kind of coming inward. Shifting your heart towards those left toes. We might move both blocks if you're using them to surround your left leg. Inhale, take a big lift. Exhale, see if we can fold over. Create a little space by effortfully lifting the back of your heart. So effort creates space, but then we also can allow the chin to drop towards the chest, allowing the head to be heavy, letting go of effort and noticing how that can make space in the back of the neck. If you can soften your left foot and left back of your leg, your hamstring, find a little softness there. Next, inhale, lift the back of your heart to roll your way up. Right knee is going to rise up to point at the ceiling. So we have right foot either just inside that left thigh. You could also choose to cross it over your left thigh. And we're going to take a twist again here to both sides. So leaning back into the hands a little bit, left arm's going to swing up and to the outside of that right thigh. You can also just bring your left hand there instead. And take about 3 breaths. Give a little effort in the right hand to straighten and lift the spine, making space. Create a little softness in your hips, feet, and face. Next, exhale, release that twist. Bring the left hand back behind the body. Inhale, sweep the right arm kind of up into that arc. And your elbow or your hand can come inside of the right knee. Again, little pressure in that left hand helps to lift the spine. Balancing our effort and our ease, softening through the face and legs and feet. Engaging through the core to make space for breath. Next, inhale, right arm's gonna sweep back, up and over, leaning back into the hands. Let's switch our sides. So right leg's gonna come back out wide, left knee's gonna bend. Maybe we move any block supports we were using. Shifting the heart toward the right toes, balancing our effort and ease in our pelvis where we soften into the floor and lift through the core. And exhaling to fold over the right leg. Inhale into the back body to create a little space with effort in lifting, and create a little space at the back of the neck again by softening the muscles in the neck and relaxing the head downward. Feel the flow and the balance of your breath. And on an inhale, fill up the back of your heart and let it help you rise. Drawing the left knee to point upward, left sole of the foot either inside or outside of the right knee. And inhaling to sweep the right arm up and to the outside of that left leg, either hand or elbow. Pressing into the left hand to find that lift to make space in the heart for breath. You might also apply just a little effort to pull the shoulder blades closer to the spine. But soften the legs and feet and the breath. Exhale to release your twist, right hand coming back down. Inhale, sweeping left arm up and inside that left knee. Right hand pressing, so effort to make space in the heart. Where can you soften? Where can you balance your effort and ease a little bit more? Last breath. Then inhale to bring the left arm back behind the body. Uncrossing the legs, both soles of the feet can come more towards center. Blocks can come towards the top of your mat for later use. And then we're going to come into a tabletop shape here. We're going to use this tabletop shape as sort of a home base for our next several poses. So kind of find your balance here of effort and ease where the feet and face and hands are soft, but we're still kind of pressing into the palms. We might feel a tiny bit of space between the palms and the mat, even though the fingers are kind of effortfully pressing down. And so from here, we're gonna we've straightened out the backs of the legs a little bit in our first few folds. We're gonna start to rise into our first down dog. See if you can keep that space in your back as you lift the knees off the floor. Find that same thing we did in our fold where the head is heavy, making space at the back of the neck. Next, exhale, we're gonna come back to tabletop. And then as we inhale, lift your hands off the floor, start to rise to standing on the knees. And then we can either leave the hands raised, keeping a little heart forward motion, or we can bring hands to the hips or the low back to kind of support a little bit. So find your balance. Do you need a little more effort with the arms raised? Do you need a little more support with the arms at the sacrum? So this is our third pose. We have table, down dog, table. And now we have our camel shape. This is another place where blocks could be placed at the heels rather than supporting this way. Then finally, we're gonna take a rabbit or a child's pose. So chin comes back to chest, back of the body gets big, hands can come to the floor like they did for tabletop, and just either but just touch the top of the head to the mat, or you could just take a child's pose here, letting the forehead rest and the hips rest on the heels. So that's kind of our series. So rising back to our starting point in table, create that little space at the back of the heart through effortfully pressing into the hands, then rise into downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Open space, find your balance. Next, exhale, knees drop back to table. As you inhale, rise into your camel. So again, noticing what's gonna bring you balance, whether it's more effort with the arms raised, more support with the hands on blocks or at the sacrum. Next, exhale, start to reverse this sort of cow shape in the spine by finding a cat arch. Palms either touching down for rabbit or relaxing hips back to heels for child's. One more round, coming back to our starting tabletop shape. Find that space through the effort. Move into downward facing dog, 3 breaths. Exhale, back to table. Inhale, rise. Find your camel variation. Third exhale, find your hands on the floor and either find rabbit or child's pose. Back into our tabletop shape. Back of the heart lifts again. Find the effort in the arms and space at the back of the heart. Back into downward facing dog. This time we're going to take a different variation. So find at least 3 breaths here in down dog. Pressing into the hands and softening through the back of the neck. Effort and ease. Inhale to lift your right leg. Find a 3-limb shape. See if you can find some stability here. Then as you exhale, start to draw your right knee in towards your chin. Lift your thigh up towards your heart. And then start to open so that your right foot comes between your hands. We're going to find a little effort here. So back knee is going to stay lifted if you can. If not, go ahead and drop it down for more stability. Inhale and find that same lift. So we're kind of finding our same rabbit shape in the spine. So hands might come to the back of the sacrum again here. Cow as the heart is forward. As you exhale, bring both hands inside of that right foot. Wiggle, walk it out to the right. And here's where we're going to find our dragon. So back knee is going to drop to find some stability behind. Blocks might be useful here to raise the height of the floor. If you'd like to drop down to forearms, maybe you're comfortable with forearms on the floor. Perhaps it's better for you just to stay hands on the mat. You can also use the height of the blocks to push your hands into to find a little bit more of that forward heart motion. So feel free to experiment. If you'd like to introduce a little bit more ease into this shape, maybe it's comfortable to let your right foot fall open so that the pinky edge is resting on the floor and the right knee falls to the right. Try to take about 3 more breaths here. Bringing the right sole of the foot back to the floor if you moved, coming back to hands on either blocks or the floor. Find a big open through the heart center, then start to straighten that right leg, either pushing into the floor or the blocks or even walking hands back a little bit to find space. So actively pulling the actively pulling the hips back toward that left heel. Find that effort making space at the back of the right leg. One more breath in, and as you exhale, come back into your low lunge. Blocks might be moved here. We're going to find our pigeon pose. So wiggle walking the right foot over behind that left wrist, dropping the right knee down. Maybe using a block for support underneath the right hip, or walking that left leg back a little bit. So first we're starting again with that same cow shape in the body. Heart is forward. We might even open the throat a little bit here. But find ease and softness. Find some letting go in the hips. Notice as we relax and create space there, softening, we also create more stability. So again, that partnership. Then we're going to spend the second half of our pigeon pose lowered, so maybe the blocks are useful here for forearms, or maybe you're comfortable coming to the floor. This time we're going to try to create a little bit of a cat arch in the spine. So soften the hips down, find some sukha in the hips, and then through a little bit of effort of lifting the shoulder blades and the back of the heart, make space there, and then let go of the head, letting go of effort to make space at the back of the neck. Three more breaths here. Rising back to your palms if you've lowered down. We've got a little tricky move here. We're going to try to find our way into a cow face pose. So lean into the right hip. If there's a block there, go ahead and pull that out. Lean into the right hip. See if you can free that back leg to swing around. And we can either stack in Sukhasana here, or maybe that left knee sits on top or close to being on top of the right. Then again, find that grounding and stability. Find some stillness in the hips, but create a little effort in the core to lift and create space in the heart. Bring hands down to the earth to connect to that solidness. And then inhale to sweep into that open space. We're going to stack the right elbow inside of the left to get our little eagle arms, backs of the hands or palms coming together. Find a little effortful squeeze, kind of pressing the forearms together, and find a little effort in pulling the elbows away from the heart center. Feel how that makes space in the back body. Now see if you can soften your breathing. And let's find now we have some stability with everything kind of tightened up and pretzeled. Let's find a little bit of sukha, some fluidity and space. So as you inhale, elbows lift. As you exhale, elbows come in as we soften in towards the chest. Inhale to lift, making space in the front body. Exhale to lower the elbows towards the sternum, making space in the back body. One more like that. Then release your twisted arms, bring your hands to the floor in front of you, and see if you can kind of roll forward, uncrossing the legs. We'll come back into our little tabletop shape. Effort in the arms as we lift the back of the heart, and then find your way back into downward facing dog. See if you can hold that space at the back of the heart through effortfully pressing into the hands. See if you can make a little space at the back of the neck by relaxing, finding sukha in the head. One more full cycle of breath. Then after that, exhale, inhale to lift your left leg high. Again, noticing if you can find some stability here. Effort happening. On an exhale, that left knee is going to come under the body towards the chin. Left thigh is going to reach up towards the chest or the ribs. And then step that left foot forward between the hands. See if you can apply a little effort to keep that right knee lifted off the mat. Inhale and find that same shape in the chest as we did in rabbit. So maybe your hands are raised here, maybe they're supportive. Find what's going to make you the most balanced. More effort or more ease, more support or more spaciousness. On your next exhale, start to fold forward, bringing both hands inside of that left foot, dropping that right knee, finding some stability now. Wiggle walk the left foot a little wider to find your dragon. Find softness in the hips, kind of relax any effort there. Notice how that makes space. Blocks, again, might be useful here to press a little bit more space into your open heart, or to come down to a forearm place here. Maybe we find a little bit more spaciousness in our hips by allowing that left foot to fall open to the pinky side, left knee falling open. Heart is where we're creating space here through a little bit of lift and effort. hips are having a little more space added by finding more stability and allowing gravity to drop them down. 3 more breaths. Facing the challenge of dragon pose. At the end of those breath cycles, start to come back to your hands on blocks or floor. Bring the left foot back to the floor if it was fallen open, and then start to slowly reach the hips back towards that right heel, actively pulling them back towards that heel and pressing into the blocks or the floor to create space at the back of that left leg. See if you can find some stability by allowing that left heel to ground. And press into the hands to maybe find a little bit more cat arch or a little bit more opening in the back of the heart. Feel the grounding and stability of your left heel and your right knee, both hands. Then start to come forward again into your low lunge. Blocks might be set aside or reserve one for your pigeon pose. Wiggle walk that left foot to the right side of your mat, letting the left knee fall open to the left to find pigeon. Find some support for your left hip, either through a block or by walking the right leg back. First few breaths here, we have that active opening, kind of pressing into the floor, either with hands or elbows, and lifting the heart forward. Feel compression and solidness at the low back, open and spaciousness at the front of the chest. And again, for our second half of pigeon, maybe lowering to forearms or to blocks here. And find a little bit of lift at the back of your heart. So back of the heart, a little bit of effort to push into the elbows or the hands to lift that. A little bit of ease in the neck as the chin comes towards the chest. Both are making space. Let your whole legs and feet feel grounded, stable, and still. Let your breath find that balance of effortful exhale and easy passive inhale. Sitting with that balance for another 2 cycles of breath. Coming back to palms. And again, we're gonna sort of find that tricky move. Let your left hip come a little deeper to the left. See if you can create enough space to free that right leg from behind you and bring it forward. Either finding a cross-legged position or this little cow face shape with right knee stacked on top of left. Find your stability and stillness in your hips first. Then relax your legs and feet. Hands can come back to the earth. Touch into that stability. Inhale to sweep into that open space. This time left elbow stacks inside of the right. Backs of the hands or palms come together. Give a little squeeze. So you can kind of press those forearms together and then effortfully pull the elbows forward to open space at the back of the heart. On your inhales, elbows rise, creating space at the front of the chest. As you exhale, elbows pull in towards the sternum, creating space at the back of the heart. So we have our stability and our solidness in our arms and legs and hips, and space shifting around in the upper body. Last breath in and out. Then relax the hands, bringing the palms forward again to see if we can roll up over those knees, uncrossing the legs, and finding your way back into tabletop. So from here, we're gonna find just a little bit of twisting. Blocks may or may not be helpful under the face, having maybe one block there. We're gonna bring the right hand right under the face, either to the mat or to that block. And as we inhale, we're gonna sweep the left arm either out to shoulder height or maybe a little bit more open. Heart is shifting towards that left side of your mat. If you have space and it's comfortable for your body, if you're pretty comfortable here, see what happens if you bring your right foot out wide to the right, and either the big toe and heel on the mat or even the sole of the foot out to the right on the mat. Get a little extra space making and stretch happening in that inner right thigh that way. One more breath. Exhale, start to sweep your left hand back down. Let it switch places with the right. If your right leg is out, bring it back into center. Maybe that left leg stretches out here again, toes and heel or the sole of the foot. And then right arm sweeping up and open, shifting your heart to the right. Where is there space? Where is there solidness? Where are your grounding points into the floor? And where can you open or expand a little bit more into your space? One more. Then exhale to bring both hands back to the mat, draw that left knee back in towards the mat as well. And we're gonna find just a little bit of shoulder opening on the back side. So maybe the knees widen just a little bit. And as you shift your weight into your left hand, start to reach your right arm under the body, maybe bending at the left elbow to let the right shoulder come all the way to the floor, and the side of the head, the right side of the head to the floor. Two more breaths here. Find some stability and stillness, but notice where there's space. Maybe the back of the right shoulder is more spacious, or the heart or the belly is spacious. Use some strength and effort to press into that left hand. Let your right arm come back to its original tabletop shape and switch sides. So shifting weight into that right hand, left arm reaches under, left shoulder comes down to the mat. You can press into that right hand a little bit to shift the heart open. Notice where there's effort, where there's stability, where there's solidness, and where there's spaciousness and openness and expansion. Find a little effort in that right hand by pressing into the floor, freeing your left arm, coming back into table. Let's swing the legs out to, or the knees out to one side and just come to a seated shape. Soles of the feet are gonna swing out in front of us, touching the floor. And we're gonna have just a little bit more effort before we find our ease. We'll balance everything out. We're gonna find some boat pose variations, just a few rounds of that before we start to find our way down to supported Shavasana. So preparing for that, we're gonna find a little bit of that effort in the core, pull in on the diaphragm just a little bit to lift and open space in the ribs. We have a nice lengthened spine. Hands can be at the front of the knees or maybe the backs of the thighs. And just gently keeping that very flat back, start to lean your weight backward, maybe toes lift and then heels. And we can either just kind of pause with the feet floating. Maybe we apply a little bit of effort to straighten the shins and calves parallel to the floor. Maybe we reach arms up either high or straight forward or even back. Effort, effort, effort. 2 more breaths if you can. Then exhale and let the feet float slowly, as gracefully as you can, back down to the floor. Widen your feet. Bring your hands inside between your ankles or feet, and then find a little cat shape. And your spine, back of the heart lifting, chin to chest. From here, lift the back of the heart. Let your arms raise up with your torso. As you exhale, bring your hands back behind your body and lift your heart forward. Maybe knees drop side to side a few times while we're in this open heart shape. Maybe stability feels better, maybe fluidity feels better. Notice what's going to bring you into balance. Come back to your neutral spine, apply a little bit of that effort again to lengthen and flatten your back. Get ready for our second round of boat pose. We're going to flow through that process twice more. So finding your, leaning your weight back until your heels lift, finding the right balance of effort and ease for you today. Two more breaths if you can. Make sure you're not overexerting or not trying hard enough. Find your way. Good. Gracefully let your heels come back down to the floor. Bring your feet wide again. Hands coming in between the knees. Find your cat shape in your spine. Soften. Let this be kind of a lazy fold. Very, very little effort here. Just kind of let yourself fold over. Support yourself with your hands or forearms if that's more comfortable or more less effortful. On your inhale, let your torso rise and your arms. As you exhale, bring your hands back behind your body. Find that open heart shape. Maybe stability as you press the feet into the floor. Maybe a little more fluidity as knees find their side-to-side motion. So choosing what's going to work best for you. Finding your balance. So part of this finding of balance with effort and ease is being in that svadhyaya mode of self-observing. Good. Come back to neutral. Find that effortful tall spine. Last round, guys. Find your boat pose. Feet lifting. Maybe we try to stretch out a little bit. Maybe we choose a different variation. But find what's going to work for you. What's the right balance of effort and ease for 2 more breaths. Good. Start to gracefully release your heels back to the floor if you can. Find your cat shape in your spine with that soft, wilted fold. Notice how much space is made at the back body the more we relax the shoulders and the weight of the head forward. On our inhale, let's find our arms and torso rising. As we exhale, supporting behind the body with the arms, and either finding stability by pressing the soles into the floor or fluidity, shifting knees side to side. Excellent. So if you still have your blocks handy, they're not necessary for this next pose, but they could be helpful. We are going to find a bridge shape in the body, and we can choose whether or not we'd like to find a supported bridge shape by placing a block or 2 underneath the sacrum, or if we'd like to apply a little bit of effort and really press into the feet to lift the sacrum higher. So we can kind of choose, just have your blocks handy so you can make a choice once we find the pose. So slowly coming down to the back. Make a few adjustments so that you're comfortable, that you're supported, that you can be completely relaxed from the sacrum to the back of the head. Shoulders are soft here. Maybe shoulder blades tuck a little under the body. And first we're going to find a little bit of fluid sukha motion. So as you inhale, fill up your belly. As you exhale, press into the feet, sacrum lifts just a little bit. Hold this shape for 2 breaths. Second exhale, sacrum comes back to touchdown. Big breath into the low belly. Exhale, press into the feet, maybe just a little higher here with the hips. 2 breaths again. Second exhale, come back down. We're going to take one more dynamic and then we're going to find our hold. So choosing whether we'd like that hold to be effortful or supported. Last dynamic breath in, breath out, lift as high as feels good to you in this moment. That's the right balance of effort and ease. Pause for 2 breaths. Second exhale, come back down. Sacrum touches down. So once we're up in our held bridge pose, we don't want to turn the head. So if you think you're going to need some support, go ahead and locate. Make sure those are within reach without turning your head. Take a big inhale into your low belly. Exhale, press. If you're using your support, go ahead and grab that and start to set yourself up for a supported bridge. Ideally, the flat part of your sacrum is on the flat part of your support. Once you're in a supported shape, you can bring your arms anywhere you like, but again, remember not to turn your head. If you're holding this shape with effort, try to be as stable and still as you can. Give a lot of effort in the legs and feet, but keep your breath soft and your face soft. We're going to try to hold here for about 5 more breaths. So if you change your mind and want support halfway through or want to apply a little more effort halfway through, make that choice. Make your last round of breath really full and complete. Fill up your belly on your inhale. Fully empty your lungs on your exhale. If you're supported, press into the feet to remove your support. If you're not supported, start your slow descent. Everybody eventually meeting back with the sacrum supported all the way to the back of the head and shoulders. Softly let the feet float off the floor. Find some movement in your sacrum. Notice if you need a little supine twist or a little cannonball shape to feel balanced. Maybe some rolls along the length of the spine might feel good. If you need to take a brief plow or a little half shoulder stand, this would be an excellent time to find some kind of shape like that. Maybe there's a way to just broaden the back body a little bit. Following along with whatever needs your body has for the next minute or so, any stretches, any last minute inversions, any places that just need a little bit of time or attention. And then we'll find our way into our resting pose. So if you would like to gather any props or move your position in the room, legs up the wall might be a really nice way to find some deep ease. Traditional Shavasana always works. You might use your blocks to prop up the back body a little bit to have a heart opener, or blocks underneath the heels in a traditional Shavasana can feel really nice as well. If I'm going to use my blocks that way, I prefer them to be kind of at the back of my Achilles so that my heels are actually floating a little bit. So that can feel really nice as well. When you arrive in your resting shape, find that gentle balance between the stability of the floor and the open space around you. Find the balance between the effort of your exhale and the soft allowing and space making of your inhale. Begin to consider where in your life a little bit more effort might bring you into balance. Consider where in your life a little more ease or space or softness or flexibility might bring you into balance. Then release the mind from these issues and just simply open and allow. Invite your diaphragm to kind of squeeze out your exhale, and in the same way, put a little mental effort toward releasing any thoughts. And then as your diaphragm relaxes and your breath effortlessly returns, see if you can effortlessly allow any wisdom or intuition or vision to come while you're resting in Shavasana. Just be open to receiving what's yours to receive. Rest in that quality of balance and self-observation. Witness the balancing of your breath, the balance of Sthira in your bones and the floor, and Sukha in your soft muscles, your spacious heart, and your relaxation. Begin to transition from stillness and stability into softness, fluidity, and gentle motion. Beginning with hands and feet, fingers and toes. Deeper breaths, allowing the chest and belly to be a little bit more fluid and a little more active. Maybe find a fluid roll from side to side in the head. As you feel ready, start to make your way either to your side and to seated, or find your method of balancing your effort and ease, finding grace and efficiency as you make your way back to a comfortable seated position. Grounding again through the hips, finding Sthira, bringing a little effort into the core, creating some Sukha in the heart and a lift in the spine. Hands again can come to touch down at the earth, grounding. Then inhale, find all of that spaciousness as palms come to touch above your head, and then in towards your heart center. As we self-observe, as we witness our own comings and goings, our ups and downs, our lives as they are, we begin to notice where we have fallen gently out of balance and know that part of the coming back to balance is part of that fluidity. And knowing where to come back to is part of that stability. And so Sthira-Sukham Asanam applies not only to our postures on the mat, but to our effort and ease in life, to our strength and our flexibility off the mat. And as we find our own balance, we are strong enough to hold space for others, making our life one of service. And so we close with our prayer. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, safe, and free. Namaste.